ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंश कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपरिष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामी इति नामिने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपरिष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य कम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं हरि ओम। हरे कृष्ण, thank you for coming. I'm sorry the sessions have been a bit erratic. I have been busy with some family needs on an urgent basis, especially for my parents. So forgive that I just came back in time 10 minutes ago back home. I thought I would miss the class, but fortunately I made it. So, so good. By the Lord's blessings, we have the opportunity to discuss the Srimad Bhagavat. We are discussing the ninth canto, and in the ninth canto, we are moving to chapter 4. Ninth canto is discussing the current Manvantara, Vaivasvata Manvantara. The Vaivasvat Manvantara, the son of Vivasvan, Surya Dev, whose name is Shraddha Deva, and his descendants. Various descendants have been discussed, and their genealogical descendants have been discussed in the last few chapters, covering the last few classes. Today, the pastime shifts to the discussion of one of the sons of Vaivasvat Manu, whose name was Nabhaga. So we're going to talk about his descendants. Now this comes a very interesting pastime, because what we are about to enter now is the section of the discussions of the very, very famous pastime of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. This pastime is anyway famous all over the world, but especially Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Ambarish Maharaj so many times across so many purports, across Gita, Bhagavatam, and so many books. And why his example is given when we discuss the pastime, we will come to that in great detail. The example of Maharaj Ambarish as an ideal devotee is especially given because of a few verses which Srila Prabhupada quotes again and again and again and again and again, and which are supposed to be, which are meant to be inspiration for Grihastha devotees like us. Ambarish Maharaj was a very, very powerful king, not just the king of just India or Malaysia or one small country. He was the Lord in terms as a king of Sapta Dvipa, all the seven Dvipas, the whole Bhumandal. Very, very powerful, very accomplished. So it's a very, very beautiful pastime of how a devotee is so very in his heart humble, kind, forbearing, always taking shelter of the Lord, accepting the Lord's will in all situations and all circumstances. So it's a very, very beautiful example. And the next few chapters are dedicated to the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj. So this chapter is a bit long, around 60 odd verses, if I'm not wrong. The first part of this chapter discusses the descendants of Nabhaga leading up to Ambarish Maharaj, and then the pastime focuses on Ambarish Maharaj exclusive. And you will see this is the general trend when genealogical lines are being discussed. Whenever genealogical lines are being discussed, there is a list of names and then certain very prominent names. Even though they were all, most of them were very great and worthy to speak about. But when we're talking about Bhagavatam, that's the who's who. Not just the famous, but the who's who of devotional service, not just the who's who of uh, material accomplishment, not just the who's who of great austere sages, but the who's who of devotional service. So this is how the narration begins. Shukadeva Goswami, as he is describing to Parikshit Maharaj, he says that Nabhaga had a son. Nabhaga, one of the sons of Vaivasvat Manu, one of the 10 prominent sons, was Nabhaga, and his son was Nabhaga. Very interesting name. Nabhaga. In Hindi, Nabhag means no good fortune, but that was not quite true, but quite an interesting name. And now we will see how that Nabhaga element came, but he nonetheless turned his difficult situation into an auspicious one. So the interesting story is that Nabhaga was the youngest son of Nabhaga. How many sons he has is not mentioned specifically here, but they had all gone to the Guru's ashram in those days. Please understand, it's not that Brahmana's son only went to Gurukul. Gurukul, the Brahmana's children went, the Kshatriya's children went, the Vaishya's children went. All of them received Upanayan Samskar from the Guru, and according to their Varna and inclination, they were trained in specific skills. The Brahmanas were more focused on Brahmanical, Vedic, and ritual training. The Kshatriyas, a little bit of the Vedas, and also Astra Shastra, politics, diplomacy, economics. Vaishyas in the art of wealth production, cow protection, farming, wealth production, and training, and a little bit of dharma. So everybody was trained according to their aptitude. Guna, karma, vibhagasha. So they were Kshatriyas. All the children of King Nabhaga, they all went to ashram. Now, in due course, after the brahmachari life, 24, 25 years was over, all the sons having graduated, all except one, who's Nabhaga, they all left the ashram, and that was normal. Brahmachari was like training period. They stayed as a brahmachari, learned under their guru. When they were qualified, learned whatever they needed to learn to perform their duties properly and live a successful material and spiritual life. They were sent back home. And they all became grahasthas, they all got married. This son Nabhaga, he decided that he will continue to live in the ashram of his spiritual master. He said, let me try to remain a brahmachari longer. Let me see if I can remain a brahmachari throughout my life. So in those days, typically for those who would take brahmachari ashram, there would be two paths, two options. One is they would just take the training, graduate at 24, complete their training, go back home, accept grahastha ashram and continue their brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha and sannyas. Of course, not everybody would end up taking sannyas, but depending. Brahmanas were expected to go up to sannyas, Kshatriyas were expected to go up to vanaprastha. Vaishyas also could take vanaprastha, Shudras only up to grahasthas. So, Nabhaga decided that I will remain in the Guru's ashram. So one group is those who take grahastha. The others are known as the Brihad Vrata. Brihad Vrata means the great vow. What is the great vow? I will never marry. I will remain a brahmachari. I will study scriptures. I will serve Guru. I will preach dharma. Huh? They want to live only for the purpose of dharma. So that is known as Brihad. Why Brihad? Great vow. Because difficult. Because everyone else is living, even though dharma is there, their main purpose is about taking care of themselves. But Brihad Vrata are those who give up their own needs, continue to stay in the ashram of the spiritual master to serve a bigger purpose. They sacrifice their life on the altar of dharma. So they become what is commonly known as Naishtika Brahmacharis. They continue to remain brahmacharis throughout their life. And eventually they may become sannyasis. They don't go to Grahastha. Grahastha bypass. If you don't do Grahastha, there is nothing like Vanaprastha because Brahmachari is already living a Vanaprastha-like life in terms of renunciation. Yeah, so Brahmachari and then sannyas. So he continued to live for some time. The other sons went back home. They got married. Huh? And after some time, their brother was still in the ashram. They decided to divide the property amongst themselves of their father. Because their father was about to get into Vanaprastha, he handed over everything to his son. So they equally distributed everything amongst the brothers, but they did not give any share to Nabhaga. Because they are saying, "Arey, wo to brahmachari hai. He's in the ashram. Huh? Why does he need any wealth?" Hmm? So they just divided the property amongst themselves, not necessarily out of deceit at that point of time, but they just left him out of the division. In due course, Nabhaga felt that, oh no, now I should go back to my father's place. I have stayed long in the ashram. Perhaps he felt he couldn't stay lifelong, so he decided to go back. Much later, he returned from his guru's ashram and went to his brothers. He went to his brothers and he noticed that the brothers have already divided all the property. And he said, no, 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 I also now want to become a grihastha. Give me my share of property. They said, too late. We already divided all the property. No, no, how can you divide? You didn't ask me also. You should not divide like that without asking me. What is my share of the property? Tell me. Oh, your share of the property is father. Father is your property. All of the property of the father we divided amongst ourselves. So Nabhaga, he doesn't argue with his elder brothers. He goes back to his father. His father is still alive. And he tells his father, oh my dear father, all my elder brothers, they took all of your property divided amongst themselves and they told me that you are my property. There is no other property for me. And the father got so angry because they were trying to cheat this youngest brother. He said, oh, my dear son, Nabhag, they are cheaters. Don't believe what they are saying. I am not your property. But he knew that he was not able to correct his sons or discipline his sons and make them give him some piece of the property. So he suggested an interesting thing to Nabhaga. Nabhaga told Nabhaga that at this moment, I'll tell you another way how you can get wealth. You need wealth because if you want to be in Grihastha ashram, you need wealth. So I'll tell you one more thing. You are very expert in Vedic mantras. You have stayed so long in the ashram of your guru that you are better than all your brothers in the Vedic mantras. So do one thing. The descendants of the sage Angiras, they are now performing a great sacrifice. They are actually very intelligent people. But there is one ritual where they do not have sufficient expertise. So they are making mistakes. So every sixth day, every Shashti Tithi, they do a particular ritual and that they mess it up. They're unable to recite the mantras properly, the suktas properly, and they make some mistakes. And you are very good with that. So I will tell you these two suktas, and you are very good in it. These two suktas, and he tells him which two suktas. Suktas means certain chants from the Vedas. They are known as suktas. You go to those great souls, and these two suktas, which are about Lord Vishwadeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you describe to them the meaning and you help them do the sacrifice properly. So he said, okay, father, I'll not fight with my brothers. Let me see if this way works. So he goes, Nabhaga goes, to the place where the sages, the descendants of Angiras Muni, are performing the yajnas. And then, exactly as his father is told, he goes and helps them do the rituals properly. And finally, their sacrifice becomes successful. They were actually doing a sacrifice for Lord Shiva. It all becomes successful. And all these sages, they become very happy with Nabhaga. And lot of wealth of the Dakshina that these sages got, a good portion of those Dakshina they give to Nabhaga. Nabhaga was very happy. Oh, my father gave me, father is intelligent. I got so much wealth, probably better than what my brothers got. So much wealth I got in Dakshina, in this particular sacrifice. And he was thinking and he was becoming happy. But at that time, to test him, Lord Shiva appears on the scene, disguising himself as a dark complexioned person, a black looking person. He came to him from the northern direction. And he told Nabhaga, oh, Nabhaga, what is this? You're taking all this wealth. All this wealth from this yajna belongs to me. Nabhaga says, no, sir. Why you are saying this belongs to you? It belongs to me. This just now they gave me. They gave me this wealth as a remuneration for my assistance to them. So Nabhag says, so Nabhag says, okay, if you have a dispute, whether it is yours or mine, let us go. This black looking person, let us go to your father, Nabhaga, and ask him to settle our dispute, whether this you have a right on this wealth or I have a right on this wealth. So they both went to Nabhaga. And Nabhaga told Nabhaga, actually, my dear son Nabhaga, whatever the great sages gave to you in this Daksha, it was actually a Daksha Yajna. Whatever they offered to you, actually, before they offered to you, they offered it to, in the sacrifice, they offered to Lord Shiva as his share. And from that share that they offered to Shiva, part of that they gave to you. So actually, what you have gotten actually belongs to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the rightful owner because it was actually offered to Lord Shiva. And the father could understand that this dark complexioned person is actually Lord Shiva, who had come there to test the dharmic strength, the moral strength of Nabhaga. Sorry, of Nabhaga. So when Nabhaga revealed to Nabhaga that this person is Shiva and that property actually becomes to Shiva, Nabhaga, rather than being upset that, oh, again I lost my wealth. Actually, this is it's almost like being cheated the second time, right? First time cheated by the brothers. Now he did what his father told him. Again, he got cheated. But understanding that it is Lord Shiva, he offered proper respects to Lord Shiva. And he told him, oh Lord Shiva, oh worshipable Lord Shiva, whatever my father has said is true. Now with great respect, I fall at your lotus feet begging for your mercy. Yes, indeed, whatever is here belongs to you. I relinquish my claim over all this. The Lord Shiva became very pleased by this very civil and dharmic behavior of Nabhaga. It is often said by saintly people that the test of character of a person is best seen when the person goes through a provoking situation. When everything is going on well, all is good, and a person is behaving nicely, that is not such a big merit. It's still good. Some people are nasty even when everything is good, but that is not such a great revelation of a person's character. But when a person is really provoked, he's going through insults after insults, or he's going through what seems as being cheated again and again and again. And in that very provoking situation, if a person is still able to remain calm and composed and not deviate from the principles of religion, then the person is considered a very great soul. So Lord Shiva is very pleased that Nabhaga had maintained his composure and he had very respectfully and calmly relinquished his claim. So Lord Shiva, being so pleased, he told, "Oh Nabhaga, whatever your father has said is true. Actually, what you said is also true. But I'm so pleased with you. Huh? I'm not only going to give you all the wealth, which actually was offered to be in sacrifice, but I want you to take it as given to you by the sages in Dakshina. You take it. I have no problem. Not only am I going to give you or let you take that wealth, but I, who know the meaning of the Vedas, I'm going to explain transcendental knowledge to you." Hmm? So Lord Shiva blessed Nabhaga not only by giving him the wealth, but additionally double blessing. Huh? There are many blessings in life, right? There are many kinds of wealth. One wealth is money. Another more important wealth is the wealth of transcendental knowledge, because transcendental knowledge can liberate one from material existence. Wealth cannot. Hmm? There is no greater wealth, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, than transcendental knowledge. It's the most pure of all pure things. Then, after having given him transcendental knowledge and giving him all blessings, Lord Shiva disappeared from the scene. The Bhagavatam at this particular point mentions a very interesting thing about this specific pastime. It says, if one hears and chants or even remembers this narration in the morning and evening with great attention, he certainly becomes learned, experienced in understanding the meaning of the Vedas, and expert in self-realization. So in this way, the first part of the chapter, the first 20 odd percent of this chapter is dedicated to describing briefly the glories of Nabhaga, the son of Nabhaga, the youngest son. The eldest son is not particularly glorified in this particular line, but Nabhaga had the most outstanding character amongst all the children of Nabhaga. Now, why Nabhaga is also mentioned is because it was from Nabhaga that Maharaj Ambarish took his birth. So this is intro into the genealogical table leading to the birth of Maharaj Ambarish. As soon as Maharaj Ambarisha is mentioned, Sukadeva Goswami takes some time to describe the extraordinary character of Maharaj Ambarish. First, he just makes one statement to increase the curiosity of Parikshit Maharaj. He says, Maharaj Ambarish was such a great devotee. He had so much of spiritual and religious merit that even though he was cursed by a most powerful Brahman, the curse wouldn't affect him. Now, Brahmana's curse, especially very, very powerful Brahmana's curse, nobody can counter. What to speak of a Kshatriya king? So, as soon as Parikshit Maharaj heard this, he said, "Oh, Shukadeva Goswami Maharaj. Yeah, I agree that he was very, very pious, Ambarish Maharaj. So, of course, I want to know about his character and what he did and all these things, but I am very surprised. Please also tell me, how is it that Ambarish Maharaj could counteract the curse of a Brahmana or resist the curse?" He didn't counteract in one sense, but he resisted. He was not affected by the curse. That curse which is insurmountable, why did it not act upon him? Please tell me that pastime in great detail. Shukadeva Goswami said, Tathastu. I will narrate to you this beautiful pastime because you asked the right question about the right personality. So Shukadeva Goswami continues the narration on Ambarish Maharaj. He says, Ambarish Maharaj was very, very fortunate. He was very, very accomplished as a ruler. He had dominion over the entire Sapta Dvipa, the whole Bhumanda. He had unparalleled, inexhaustible, unlimited opulence and prosperity on earth. Nobody could rival him. He had such a position that it is so rare for anybody to achieve in this world. Even then, even after being so powerful and so accomplished and wealthy, famous, rich, huh, he was extremely humble and totally detached. He didn't care for any of it. The Bhagavatam says in the first canto, Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamanam Madapuman Naiva Arhati Abidatum Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Maharaj Kunti, in her prayers to Lord Krishna, says, "O Lord Krishna, huh, those who are blessed because of their past karma with Janma, opulent birth, Aishwarya, wealth, Shruta, great learning, and Shri, great beauty, they become so proud. Pride becomes so easily manifest in their mentality that for them to become humble and to call out your name helplessly becomes very difficult." Ambarish Maharaj had all of that: high birth, beauty, wealth, learning, still extremely humble and detached. Why he was detached? Parikshit Maharaj says, because Maharaj Ambarish knew very well that these are all material things. All these material things will come and go. Adyavanta ime deha nateshu ramate Buddha. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, those who are wise, Buddha, like Ambarish Maharaj, they know that all these material enjoyments have a beginning and an end. That is why they do not waste their time trying to pursue sense gratification with the aim of achieving a lasting fulfillment. That is never going to happen. That is a phantasmagoria that those who are wise willingly, knowingly choose not to pursue. Shukdev Goswami said, they know it is just like a dream. Huh? It will be destroyed. Just like in a dream, sometimes you may say, oh, I have a big house. Oh, I have become a billionaire. Huh? But a dream is going to break very soon. Huh? As soon as you wake up, the dream is going to break. Similarly, the dream of whatever opulences we have now in this life, that dream will break as soon as this body is gone. Hmm? And he was very clear, Shukdev Goswami says, the one who becomes attached to any of these opulences for their own enjoyment, such non-devotees, they just go down and down and down. Hmm? Too much opulence actually is a curse of material nature. When you have a lot of opulence, any of these opulences, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shrivi, if you cannot become humble, if you cannot take shelter of great souls, if you cannot render humble service to the great souls, then one remains trapped in material existence. Hmm? And that is why those who have wealth or any of the great opulences and simultaneously are detached and have a mentality of a humble servant of the Lord and his devotees, these are very special people. Hmm? Shukdev Goswami says that Maharaj Ambarish was such a great devotee, devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev and the devotees of Vasudev. Huh? He had so much taste in devotional service that he thought of the opulence of the entire world to be as significant as a piece of stone. Hmm? Loshtravat, a piece of stone. What is this? A real wealth is devotion to Krishna. And then Maharaj Shukadev Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit the most famous verses which Srila Prabhupada so often quoted across Bhagavatam, across the pages of his various literatures and translations, verses 18 to 20, which describe how Maharaj Ambarish was exclusively engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Savai Manah Krishna Padara Vindayoho Vachamsi Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane Karau Harer Mandir Marjanadishu Shrutim Chakarachyuta Satkathodaye Mukundalinga Laya Darshane Drishau Tadbhritya Gatra Sparshe Anga Sangamam Dhranam Chatatpada Saroja Saurabhe Shrimat Tulasya Rasanam Tadarpite Padau Harehe Kshetra Padanusarpane Shirau Rishikesha Padabhivandane Kamam Chadasye Natu Kama Kamyaya Yatottama Shloka Janashrayaratihi. Very sweet verse. Very beautiful verse. What is the translation? This verses, three verses describe how Ambarish Maharaj engaged all his senses in the devotional service of the Lord. Some people are only engaging their lips in chanting the holy name. Some are engaging only their ears in hearing. But Ambarish Maharaj engaged all his senses, and that is the description, how he engaged all his senses. He engaged his mind on meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleaning the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing Krishna Katha, his eyes in seeing the beautiful darshan of the transcendental form of the Lord in his deity form, in his temples, and also his various deity forms in his holy abode. He used his sense of touch to touch the bodies of the Lord's devotees and serve them. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the tulsi and the flowers which are offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. He engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad and the tulsi which is offered to the Lord. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and visiting the temples of the Lord. He used his head to bow down in front of the Lord. And in this way, always engaging all his senses 24 hours a day in satisfying the desires of the Lord. Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. The Bhagavatam says he engaged all his senses in devotional service in various kinds of engagements related to the Lord. This is the way, Shukadev Goswami says, how one becomes attached to the Lord and increases one's attachment to the Lord. And this is the way how one can become free from all material desires. That's why Prabhupada quotes this so much. Because Prabhupada's instruction to all his disciples and his followers is that if you want to be attached to Krishna, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 7, verse 1, he says, Maya sakta manapartha yogam yunjanmadashraya. You should practice yoga by taking shelter of me, but to do that, Maya sakta mana, your mind has to be attached to me first, no? So for your mind to be attached to me first, you must, under the expert guidance of the spiritual master, engage all your senses in my service. If the senses are not engaged in the Lord's service, they will engage in the service of Maya. Asamshayam samagram mam yatha gyasasi tachru. So one must understand the science of devotional service from the bona fide devotees of the Lord. So Krishna is known as Rishikesha, the Lord of the senses, Rishika, Isha. So our senses are considered small parts, minute parts of the senses of the Lord, and they are meant to be used in the Lord's service. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam, Bhaktir, Uchyate. This is one of the ways bhakti is defined. One of the ways bhakti is defined is not just devotion, but engaging our senses in the service or for the pleasure of the Lord of the senses. When Krishna is referred to as Govinda, generally we say Govinda means he who gives pleasure to the cows. But Govinda also means, Go also refers to the senses. He who gives pleasure to the senses, or rather, for whom we should engage in the pleasure of his senses. So this is a very comprehensive, practical way to explain what is a pure devotee. Huh? And that comprehensive, practical way is a devotee is one who engages all his endeavors in all his senses for the pleasure of the Lord. Even if he is a king, no problem. If he is a corporate employee, no problem. He's a housewife, no problem. If he's a student, no problem. He's a housewife, no problem. If he's a simple sweeper, no problem. Shopkeeper, no problem. Businessman, no problem. There is no material impediment. One can engage 100% in the service of the Lord by performing his prescribed duties. This is what Shukadeva Goswami says next. In performing his prescribed duties as a king, Maharaj Ambarish always offered the results of his activities to the Supreme Lord. Krishna Arpanamastu. Mat karma. Do your karma for me. And all this he did by carefully working under the guidance of great devotees. Because he was so convinced in his own faith and because he had proper guidance, he was able to rule the earth perfectly also, according to Dharma, and also perfectly remain situated in his devotional service. And that is why Maharaj Ambarish's example is so important for us, because he was not only perfect in the execution of his material duties, he was simultaneously perfect in the execution of his spiritual duties. This is not so easily seen. Is usually one of the two, but somebody who can do both together and remain detached, being engaged in this world within the Varnashram system, actively performing one's duties for social benefit, like in the position of a king. King's position is not just like an IT job. Huh? You have to deal with politics, war, administration, so many complications. So God, cannot even imagine. All these positions look very wonderful and attractive from the outside, but when somebody actually sits on that chair, and it's a hot seat, you cannot be peacefully settled anytime. But Ambarish Maharaj could do, because he was totally free from any materialistic desires. So I'm going to stop here. We will continue the rest of the chapter in the next class. We have completed around 21 shlokas. And we can take some questions. Maybe I'll just mention one or two more points. In the meanwhile, if any of you have questions, you can raise. So there's one more thing which is mentioned before the main pastime of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni begins, that Ambarish Maharaj is also expert in performing various yajnas for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Even though he himself had no attachment to household affairs, to wife, to children, to friends and relatives, or to his opulence, his chariots, his gold, his horses, his jewels, he was still executing his duties perfectly. And at one time, in order to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead and in order to cause welfare to all his citizens, because whatever the king does must be for the pleasure and protection of all his praja. The praja, the subjects of the king, are like his children. So it is said, one day Maharaj Ambarish, along with his queen was also extremely qualified. So that's a great good fortune. When the husband is a devotee and the wife is also a qualified devotee, a good devotee, and they can come together and both can wonderfully execute devotional service. They decided that for the good of all the people in the world, we both will observe Ekadashi Vrat for 1 year. Most of us, when we realize it is Ekadashi tomorrow, we are thinking, "Aa gayi fir se Ekadashi." Not many of us are excited unless you really like sabudana or varai rice. For 1 year, he decided to observe Ekadashi Vrat for the pur- for the purpose of pleasing the Supreme Lord, so that all his praja will be benefited. So that was the beginning of this very, very interesting episode that led to confrontation between Maharaj Ambarisha and Durvasa Muni. So that part of the pastime we will discuss in the next class. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, bro.
Yes, Sundar Prabhu. Yeah, go ahead.
So, bro, I have a simple question.
Yeah.
Uh, because I kind of asked this question before because in the Bhagavad Gita they mention sometimes the devotees. So I think you already explained that devotees here is referring to the context of pure devotees, and also here also today also you kind of emphasize that pure devotees means they want engage all their what senses and all those
All their
things.
senses, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
So, but I also heard from somebody who told that Prabhupada told that all those in ISKCON are pure devotees. So I'm not sure. I just wanted to clarify this point. Have you heard or have you heard that?
Now, we should
But
understand what is the meaning of a pure devotee here. A pure devotee and a perfected devotee are two different things. A pure devotee is one who consciously has accepted as the goal of his life to render unalloyed, pure devotional service eternally to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any other material motivation. Okay? Once you have accepted that as your prayojan and you are endeavoring to work towards it, you are already a pure devotee in seed form. Prabhupada would explain this as a raw mango and a ripe mango. Both are mangoes, right? But the raw mango will be sour. You try to taste it. A ripe mango will be sweet. Both are mangoes. But the mango has to ripen. So pure devotee is he who has strongly convinced अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यम ज्ञान कर्माद्यनावृतम अनुकीर्येन कृष्णानुशीलनम भक्तिरुत्तमा. He is executing uttama bhakti. He may not have yet become free from all contamination, but at least consciously he is not cultivating avidya. So when Prabhupada says pure devotee, the pure devotee in a more broader sense is one whose goal in life is pure devotional service, whose goal in life is Krishna prema, and who has molded his life in that direction. In that sense, yes. In that sense, all of you are pure devotees. Especially those who are seriously practicing the principles of devotional service, those who have accepted initiation. Krishna sees them as raw mangoes. But Krishna enjoys ripe mangoes. He likes raw mangoes, but he enjoys ripe mangoes. So we have to ripen to actually give pleasure to Krishna. So as we continue the process of sadhana bhakti, we will progress to strong faith, from initial faith to strong faith, to taste, to attachment, to bhava, and to prema. So the personalities like Maharaj Parikshit, personalities like Maharaj Ambarish, Shukadev Goswami, they are perfected. They are Siddha devotees. We are Sadhaka devotees. A Sadhaka is also a pure devotee in that sense. Pure not in the sense of doesn't have any contamination. The pure here is referring to the motivation. You understand, Prabhu? Pure is referring to the motivation. It
Yes,
is not referring
yes,
here
Prabhu.
that there is no other contamination in the heart. So that is a siddha. No other contamination, perfect realization of one's constitutional position is a premi bhakta. Is a siddha Mahapurush. But as sadhakas, in a liberal way, we can be referred to as pure devotees if in our heart we are convinced and we have really accepted and made our heart and soul that yes, I want to achieve this pure devotion. We are dealing with the material world to whatever extent is needed, and we are sometimes, struggling in our ways to, not get attracted to the material world. But in our heart, we are cherishing the goal of pure devotional service. We are working towards it. We are serious. Then we are like raw mangoes. Like that. Does it make sense?
Yes, 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 Prabhu. It kind of makes it much more clearer and more focused now, rather than otherwise we'll be like lost at times. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. So another thing we understand that's why even in the association of devotees, we don't want to offend anybody, disrespect anybody, because there may be so many devotees who are pure devotees by the definition we just discussed. They may not be perfected devotees, but they are pure devotees. Huh? And Krishna takes it very seriously. Even if somebody is a sadhaka, if he's of the category of pure devotee who is offended, Krishna takes it very, very seriously. So that's why one should be very careful not to offend, judge, criticize those who are sincerely serving the Lord. Very difficult task to do, but we must endeavor to meet that standard for our own good. Thank you, Prabhu. And, Hare Krishna. Any other comment? Any other question? Okay, so thank you very much. So about Tuesday, at this moment, I intend to have class, but I will let you know. The problem is, and I'm very sorry, the problem is that the schedule is so dynamic because of certain things. My mother is going through some health issues and she needs a lot of support. So the schedule is very dynamic. So in that connection, only I was out for a specific thing for my father and mother. So I just came back in time. So I intend, Krishna willing, and we will have our CC class on Tuesday. If not, the soonest I am aware, I will let you know. But kindly tolerate this disruption for some time, and please join enthusiastically. And thank you. A few of you have joined today. I think not everybody could join, but thank you for those who made that effort. अंतरा श्रीमद भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, सामवेद गौरव भक्त वृंद की जय. थैंक यू रीटा जी, सर्वलक्ष्मी माता जी, श्रीदेवी माता जी, सिनी माता जी, हरिबोल, पूजा माता जी, हरे कृष्णा,
Hare
श्रीधर
Krishna
प्रभु,
Prabhuji, Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
सुंदर प्रभु, सुयश प्रभु. Yesterday, I had the good fortune of meeting Suyash and his wife Jessica. They came over and visited me, so that was also very nice. So thank you all. Of course, this particular trip is very busy, but I'm hoping next time when I come, those of you are in India, maybe we can make some effort to see if we can meet each other. That will be nice. We'll figure out a way.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम.
Dandavad Sridhar Prabhu. Thank you. Okay, Haribol. Thank you so much. Have a good
Hare
evening.
Thank you, Prabhu.